Okay. I just would like to have a kind of reminder, please. So try to tell me, please, up till now, what could we, cover in discourse analysis? Is my question clear, please? Yes, please. Where are you? Yes.
Professor?
Yes. Abdelmoula?
Professor, so far we have talked about discourse analysis and the difference between discourse analysis and critical analysis. Also, we have talked about
very good. Yes, please, your attention. Abdelmoula. Very good. The first point we talked about is, first trying to define the key terms or concepts of the subject, discourse analysis. Then we try to deal with this, focusing first on discourse and then moving on to the analysis of discourse. So what did we say about discourse? What did we say about discourse?
Professor?
Yes, Abdelmoula?
Discourse analysis is a study of language.
No. Abdelmoula. Abdelmoula. Your attention? Abdelmoula. Yes, Abdelmoula.
Yes, Professor.
I said we try to define the key concepts or terms of this subject, which are basically two: discourse on the one hand and analysis on the other. So try first, Abdelmoula, to speak simply about discourse. What did we say about discourse, basically, particularly? Is it clear?
Yes, Professor.
Yes, what did we say about discourse?
It's what is above and beyond the sentence.
So, Maya?
It is simply the language in use.
What do you mean by language in use?
It is what above and beyond the sentence.
Very good. It is basically what is above and beyond the sentence. Yes, that's true. Then, when we, spoke about this, we tried to make a link between this and linguistics, purely core linguistics. What did we say about this? Which differently, did linguists within core linguistics or descriptive linguistics, as advocated by generativism, basically Chomsky and his followers, did they, pay heed? Were they aware of, the existence of this discourse and its relevance for, communication and for human interaction? Yes. Is my question clear? Yes, is my question clear, please? Where are you? Where are you?
Would you please, Professor, ask again the question? I didn't hear the question. Yeah.
When we spoke about the fact that discourse is basically simply defined what is beyond and above the sentence. When we spoke about this, we tried to make a link between this and purely theoretical linguistics or descriptive linguistics as advocated by generativism, basically Chomsky and his followers. So what's the link that we could make between, discourse and purely, theoretical linguistics or core linguistics? What did we say about discourse? Associating or trying to associate it with the core, linguistics, purely core linguistics. Did they, pay attention to this? Was it part of their interest? Was it one of their occupations or not? If the answer is yes, for what reason? And if it is no, could you justify? This is my question.
Professor, core linguistics deals with language as an abstract system for itself and as itself.
For itself and in itself, Hannah.
In itself, yeah.
Very good. What else? You still need to elaborate on this. It's not yet clear.
Mm-hmm.
It's not yet clear.
Professor?
Abdelmoula?
It is only concerned with the local text.
No, Abdelmoula, pay attention. Pay attention. I'm speaking about the formalist, approach to the analysis of language. Does it have any connection with the analysis of discourse, or there is a cut line? There is a cut line between the formalist approach and discourse analysis. This is the question, please.
Professor, Sanna?
Abdelmoula.
Formalist approaches are simply approach that treats language for itself and never said to be dealing with discourse.
Very good. Very good. Could you elaborate more on this? Could you elaborate more on this? Why didn't it pay attention to the study of discourse, in your point of view, and as we discussed it in class?
Professor?
Abdelmoula?
We can say simply it is functional.
Huh?
It is not deal with discourse because it is functional. It is functional.
No, it is not functional. It is formal. Abdelmoula. Functional approaches are those which deal with the analysis of discourse, as opposed to the formal or formalist model, which doesn't go well beyond the sentence level. This is the answer. Simply because core linguistics did not go well beyond the level of the sentence. And you know this. As we said in class, language, according to core linguistics, purely, theoretical linguistics, is modular. In that, it has, a number of modules, or it has a number of, levels, so that we simply have sound level, or it is their conviction that we have a sound level, we have a word level, and we have a sentence level. And even for the sentence level, it's only analyzed in an abstract way. There was never, an attempt to relate the sentence level to human interaction or behavior. And this is the reason why we said, and you are, agreeing with me on this, that language is studied for itself and itself. For itself and itself. That is to say, no attempt was, made to relate language to its users. Language to its users. Is it clear this?
Yes, Professor.
Yes.
Then, this is the first point. What about the other students? Where are you? Why aren't you participating, please? Why aren't you participating? We do not only have Hana and Abdelmoula. Where are the other students? By the way, how many participants do we have in this virtual session?
It is about
Mohammed. Mohammed.
Yes, I'm here.
How many participants?
It's about 65 students.
How many?
65.
65. And where are they?
I don't
Simply listening?
know. I don't know. Maybe.
Okay. So finished with discourse. What about analysis? What does it mean, analysis of discourse?
It's trying to depict the features
Sumaya?
used by.
Sumaya?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, Professor. It's trying to depict the features used by the speaker or the writer. It's like the kind of tools.
What's the kind of these tools? What is their nature?
Grammar, tone,
linguistic tools, okay?
Yes.
Linguistic tools. We can also call them rhetorical strategies. We say linguistic tools or rhetorical strategies, okay? Including what, Sumaya?
Professor?
Sabah, Talib, including what?
Coherent, vocabulary, grammar, style.
That's okay. That's good. That's good. Okay. So then, what makes the difference between the formalist approach and the functional ones to the study of language? Yes?
Professor, could you repeat the question, please?
What makes the difference between the formalist approach to language analysis and the functional ones?
Professor?
Sabah?
Because formalist discourse study language as an abstract, but in functional terms, language is used to convey a message. The interface with different disciplines.
What about the functional approaches?
Study language as an abstract way.
No, it's the formalist one which studies language. Formalist.
Yes, formalist.
What about the functional approaches?
Deals with the language in use.
Functional approach is study language. Language is used to convey a message.
Message.
Yes.
Message. Could you state some examples of these functional approaches?
Professor?
Abdelmoula.
Discourse analysis and critical analysis are regarded as a functional account.
No. Abdelmoula. No, I'm speaking about other approaches, functional approaches to the analysis of language. I'm not speaking about discourse now. No. Yes, sociolinguistics, pragmatics, sociology, anthropology, cultural studies, and many other disciplines. These are functional approaches. as your classmates have just said, in the sense that they are interested, in addition to dealing with language accuracy, they are also interested in dealing with the language use. Language use, that is to say, language identifying and trying to investigate language, associating it with human behavior and interaction, associating it with human behavior and interaction. Okay, good. Then, as Saad Al-Mola has just said, we also try to draw a difference between discourse analysis on the one hand and critical discourse analysis on the other. What's the difference then?
Professor?
Mohammed?
The discourse analysis is just focused on the local.
Could you speak up, Mohammed? I can't hear you.
Okay. Discourse analysis is just focused on the local context, but critical discourse analysis goes from the local context to the global context.
Good. What do you mean by the global context?
For example, every local context have their own culture and their own rituals. But when we go beyond that certain local context to the universal context, for example, there are some rituals like in Russia when a pregnant woman got a baby and trying to put him in the cold lake to adapt with the cold, and when we are going to the something universal, something it is common and known by all human beings, like when we are using symbols and etc. For example,
Okay.
like a dog, it is a symbol for tolerance, etc.
Okay. Any other answer?
Professor? Can I put it differently? So we talk about the global context, meaning it makes reference to other contexts, including social, political, religious, economic, and also cultural context.
Very good. Very good. So it means that here we are speaking about intertextuality. Intertextuality. How the text under study or consideration interacts with other texts. Which are basically, they may be cultural, maybe, political, religious, sociocultural, socioeconomic, or economic in nature. Yes, Sabah.
The difference between the discourse analysis and critical discourse analysis is that in the discourse analysis deals with linguistics tools used by the writer, and we have only the local context, like text, narrative, play, poems. But in critical discourse analysis, we have a local plus global context. In the local we have the text itself, discourse itself, and in the global we have refers to political, social, economic, religion, and cultural context. This is the difference between.
Good. So it is basically assumed, and it was agreed on, it goes without saying that the critical discourse analysis is based on power relations. It is based on power relations. Who would like to elaborate on this? Critical discourse analysis is basically based on the fact that within every given text, every given discourse, we have power relations. How would you, elaborate on this? How? Iman? Iman?
Professor, sorry for interrupting you, but we don't really hear what you are saying because.
What's the problem?
We can hear you well, Professor.
Huh?
No, the voice is clear. We can hear you well.
Okay.
Can I answer the question, Professor, about the...
Huh?
Can I answer the question?
Yes, Abdelmoula. The floor is yours.
This course is governed by power relation. For example, like in the classroom, as we said before, that we have a discourse, a conversation between the teacher and his student. So the teacher can't have a power over his student.
Okay, that's a simple example. Could you give me other examples? Could you give me other examples, please? Yes? What about the other students? What about the other students? Only 3 or 4 students are participating. What about the others?
Professor?
Sumaya?
Yes, for instance, political power and control media can influence language and determine discourses in the society. And for instance,
could you give me a concrete example? Could you give me a concrete example, Sumaya?
For instance, the government can use language, to transfer a message or to apply their agenda through language or through speech.
Good. Showing what, basically?
Through media, for instance, speech of the king to the people.
Yes, that's true. Yes, it's here you are dealing with politics. If we simply take the case of the policy makers, basically. Policymakers in Morocco or elsewhere, you find that all their speeches are based on power relations, in that they try to pass on messages to, the public, which are basically based on power relations. That is to say, trying to show using expressions, using words that they are in a position of power, whereas they are in a position of superiority, whereas the people are in a position of inferiority. Yes? Is this true, Sumaya?
Yes, they use the sense of something like propaganda to show superiority, that they have power.
Very good. Yeah. Could you say anything about the Palestinian case? What has been happening, during these days to the Palestinians? Can you state some, can you speak about this in relation to, power relations?
Professor?
For instance, when Palestinians speak, when they express themselves, when they try to, voice their sufferings, what do you notice? What do you notice? Sumaya.
We can say they use pathos. There is ethos, pathos, and logos. They use pathos. For example, they show what is happening really in Gaza, for instance, or in Sheikh Jarrah neighbor. So they use videos. We can say videos is a language or image.
Yes, of course, because we said discourse is not only what is written or spoken, it is only what is visual, what is, okay, yeah?
Yeah, they use videos of victims or the babies, they are, for example, burned by settlers or something.
Very good, very good. Then meaning what this? Meaning what? If we try to associate it to power relations. Who is in a position of power? Palestinians or the Israelis?
Honestly, Israel, but
yeah,
honestly, because they are powerful economically and they have a forced army. So yeah, they are in the position of the power. But honestly, yesterday they stopped attacking each other.
Yeah.
So Palestine is won the war, not the war, just the part of the case of the
Very
code.
good.
So
yes,
yeah,
that's true. That's
because
true.
because of the media, because influencers, they use Instagram to aware or to share awareness to the Europe or to show the reality of the Israel.
Yes, that's
because
true.
Israel, they spend a lot of time to clean their name in the media because they are innocent and they are seek to for peace and something like that. Yes.
Yes, very good. That's true. So Palestinian is a good case. Palestinians is a good case of in point. It's a case in point, showing, I mean, this fact that the critical discourse analysis is based on power relations. So that's when the Palestinians speak, basically, when they speak, you feel that they are, I mean, tyranny is exerted on them. You feel that we have tyrant people who are exerting, I mean, tyranny upon the Palestinians, using, I mean, or relying or extracting their speeches, their words, their expressions, and they try to attract the sympathy of, I mean, the whole world, not only the Muslim or the Arab world, the whole world. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, that's true.
Can I talk about
yes,
that?
Mohammed, I can't hear you. Mohammed, could you speak up, please?
Yes, I want to talk about that case especially because the hypocrite Israel, they attack Palestinians and show themselves as they are innocent. And in other words, trying to use some verses of Quran and some hadith to treasure our emotion as Muslims and as human beings to play the role that they are victims, but in fact they are attacking the others, the innocent Palestinians, like the kids, like women, like the oldest people.
Very good.
If you want to say the strategies and techniques that Zionists uses to treasure our emotions as Muslims, because we knew that Muslims around the world is about 2 billion around
Very
the
good.
world. That's
Very
why
good,
they are trying to keep their self-image as good as possible in front of the United Nations and in front of the whole population.
That's true. Yes, yes, that's true. Surely, true. Then the next point that we try to, I mean, share in class is the fact that discourse analysis, we, I mean, address the question whether we consider discourse analysis as a theory or we consider it as a method of research.
Professor? Discourse analysis, in fact, is a method of research that is basically cross-disciplinary, transdisciplinary, interdisciplinary, and also multidisciplinary.
Very good. It's not a theory, but it is a research method. It is a method of analysis. It is a method of research which relies on a variety of disciplines. It borrows from a variety of disciplines. And this is the reason why it is said to be interdisciplinary, multidisciplinary, cross-disciplinary, transdisciplinary. So who would like to elaborate on the fact that discourse analysis is interdisciplinary?
Professor? So it is interdisciplinary in the sense that it interacts with different disciplines.
It interacts with different disciplines. Yes, that's true. Could you give us some of these interactions, please?
Teacher?
Mohammed?
like when we are talking about psycholinguistics or neurolinguistics, because we are moving from one discipline to another.
Could you speak up, Mohammed?
I just give you an example about psycholinguistics.
Mm-hmm.
When we are combining psychology with linguistics, that's what we
very
call
good. Very good. So, combining psychology with language. What about sociolinguistics? We try to combine social factors with the use of language. Yes.
Yeah.
What about pragmatics?
Pragmatics, I think it's just one disciplinary. It doesn't have any connection with other. Yes, it has a not with other disciplines like semiotics. You can put pragmatics with the.
How can we argue for the fact that discourse analysis also, borrows from pragmatics? Because it seeks meanings. Huh? It seeks meanings. What is indeed? Analyzing discourse? It's basically to get the different meanings which are, intended in different, messages. Huh? Meanings, different interpretations, different, I would say meanings. Meanings is the exact term for, identifying, the purpose, the core purpose of analyzing discourse. المعنى نبغيو نعرفوا المعنى البعيد، المعنى القريب والمعنى البعيد of any discourse. That's it. Okay. So then, since pragmatics is also concerned, with meanings in association with the context, in association with the situation of use, then of course discourse analysis can only interact with pragmatics. It can only interact with pragmatics. Okay. How would you then argue again for the fact that discourse analysis is multidisciplinary?
Professor?
Other students, please. Other students, where are you? Where are you, please? Other students, where are you, Baghdadi? Mr. Baghdad or Baghdadi, where are you? Are you here? Please.
Professor, can you please repeat the question?
How would you elaborate on the fact that, or could you elaborate on the fact that discourse analysis is multidisciplinary in nature?
Sure.
Yes, please. Any answer for this question?
Professor, تدخل.
عبد المولى.
So it is multidisciplinary because it's just simply it's borrows, or we can say it's rely on different disciplines.
It relies, it borrows from, it gains insights from other and variety of disciplines. Good. How would you argue again for the fact that discourse analysis is cross-disciplinary?
Professor? Because it has many common features with other disciplines. There are some common feature with other disciplines.
It shares the many important features with other disciplines, okay. It has common points, common features in terms of content, and in terms of analysis or practicality, in terms of content and in terms of practicality, okay. What about being transdisciplinary?
It means that it is not limited. It has a relation with different disciplines like culture, religion, and economic.
It means that it has no borders. Yes? Yeah. It has no borders. It cannot be categorized as being one discipline. It cannot be categorized as being a theory, but it transcends the borders. It crosses the borders of theories. It crosses the borders of disciplines. And this is the reason why it is said to be, transdisciplinary in nature. Yes, that's true. Then, the other point that we moved to, discuss in physical classes, is, the fact that when speaking about discourse, we should, make that distinction between written and spoken discourse. What did we say about this?
Professor?
Yes, Abdulmola.
So in the written discourse, we have no excuses for making mistakes. But in the spoken discourse, it is okay because it is rather about facial expression, use of prosthetic feature such as trace, tone, and intonation. Also, in the written discourse, we have time to reflect on our ideas while writing, not as speaking superficially without paying more attention to the organization of our ideas. Also, we can use fragments in the spoken discourse, but we have no right to use them in the written discourse that is more organized by the flow of speech through the use of certain written tools like connection, conjunction, and etc.
Very good. Very good. What else?
We can say about spoken and written discourses that in spoken discourse, the person can use the body language and he can interfere with the audience. But in a written discourse, we can say that the writer had time to write and there is an absence of interaction with the audience. And we say that for written and the spoken discourses, each one has its own strategies.
Very good. So on the basis of, these features which we try to speak about, trying to, make, a distinction between written and spoken discourse, we stated a number of features which are associated or properties which are, proper to the written discourse. What are these properties then? Sabah.
The first point is that in written discourses, we have the grammatical intricacy.
Intricacy, yeah. What do we mean by grammatical intricacy?
We mean by grammatical intricacy is that in written discourse is more complex than spoken one, and the sentences are complex and long, but in spoken discourse, sentences are simple. And the spoken discourse is less organized than written discourse.
Good. The grammatical intricacy, first property. Second one?
Abdulmola? In grammatical intricacy, we said also that, however, that spoken discourse has its own kind of complexity.
Yeah.
But in what sense? In the use of fragments, because I didn't get the idea. That we said that it's also we said in spoken discourse it has its own kind of complexities.
Yeah. In the sense that we have fragments, we have interruptions, and sometimes you find it really difficult to make connection between what is said now and what has been said before. Clear?
And also in the spoken discourse, the clauses are long ones.
Yeah, sometimes they are long, sometimes we have something that is, dropped from, different sentences and clauses. And this is the reason why, Abdelmoula, we say that, spoken discourse, even if we claim that a written discourse is more complex than the spoken one, we still have to bear in mind that the spoken discourse has its own complexity. It has its own complexity. It's proper to it in the sense that we have interruptions to the extent that sometimes we find it difficult to make connections, relations between what was said before in any conversation or dialogue and what is following. And in the sense that we may have things dropped, words, many things which gets dropped from the spoken discourse. Is this clear?
That's clear, Professor.
Okay. What else? Properties of written discourse. Yes, Sabah.
The second one is lexical density.
Very good. What do we mean by lexical density?
It refers to the duration of consonant words like noun, verb, adjectives, and adverbs to grammatical or function words. But in spoken discourse, is less lexically dense than written one.
Very good. Very good. What else?
Professor?
Abdelmoula.
We have a nominalization, which refers to presenting action and events as noun rather as verbs. In written discourse has a high level of nominalization, that is to say, more noun than verbs.
Very good. What else?
Professor?
Hannah?
We have decontextualization.
Decontextualization. Yes, that's a very important fact. What about this decontextualization, Hannah?
In which we do not care about the context of the situation, we only care about the local context.
The local text. Very good. Very good. Yes, what else?
Professor?
Sabah?
Is that decontextualization in a written discourse? We can say that is more decontextualized than depends on our shared situations.
Very good. Yes, that's the point. What else? Another feature?
Professor?
Sumaya?
She said that discourse analysis is decontextualized, but critical discourse analysis is contextualized because it depicts or deals with ideologies and agenda and hidden messages.
Very good. Yes, that's true.
And it deals with global context.
Very good. Yes, that's true. What else? About the features or properties of written discourse?
Sabah? We have tone. We mean by tone the style used by the writer, or we can say the writer's choice of words to convey or to the content of the message.
Very good. Yes, and I think that it was the last feature, tone. Is it true or not?
It's the last feature, Professor.
Very good. Then next, then we move to considering, the features of spoken discourse. Features of spoken discourse. So what are the features that we could cover so far for, the spoken discourse? First category is that of non-fluency features. Yes? non-fluency features. Yes?
Professor?
Which include basically what?
Which includes
formal and non-formal.
We have pause fillers. We also call them
voice hesitation.
Very good. Yeah. We have pauses. Yes. What else? What else?
We have also repair strategies.
Yes, repairs. Very good.
And
repetition. And
Overlap.
then we have overlaps. For the first category, what about the second category?
Adjacency pairs.
For the second category of features of spoken discourse. Adjacency pairs. Yes? Do you agree?
Yes.
Yes.
Number three or third category?
Back channels.
Back channels and interaction signals.
Yes.
Good. D.
Discourse markers.
Very good. Discourse markers. And of course, for each of these categories, you have definitions and representative examples. Yes? The last point we could discuss in class is what?
Spontaneity.
Other
feature. Spontaneity.
Continuity.
Spontaneity, yes.
Yeah, what did we say about spontaneity?
You are spontaneous when you are talking. You could not. You are spontaneous when you are talking. You could not check about your grammar or your word that you are using in conversation.
Yes. Spontaneity means that spoken discourse is informal in nature.
Professor?
Yeah.
Which means that is informal in nature and there is a lack of organization and ungrammatical. But in written discourse is organized and grammatical.
Yes? Yes, please?
I said that spoken discourse is informal and there is a lack of organization and ungrammatical. But in written discourse is organized and more grammatical.
Very good. What about grammatical features in association with spoken discourse? As compared to written discourse?
Professor.
Yeah? What about grammatical intricacy in spoken discourse? What did we say about that?
Professor?
Yes, Abdelmoula?
We said that spoken discourse is less lexically dense. It has a low level of nominalization. It is less organized compared to the written discourse.
Yes, Sabah?
Written is more structurally complex and elaborate than speech discourse.
And as Abdelmoula has just said, even so, we should claim that, spoken discourse is no less highly organized than writing. It has its own kind of complexity, yes? And Holiday, as we said before, in 1989, 2009, presents the notion of grammatical intricacy to account for the way in which the relationship between clauses in spoken discourse can be much more spread out and with more complex relations between them than in writing. Is this clear?
Yes, clear, Professor.
Okay, and you have this in the lecture, of course, lecture number 4. You have it, and you have, I mean, the example for that. What about lexical density? We also spoke about that, saying that spoken discourse is less, I mean, lexically dense than the written one, in the sense that we have more content words which tend to be spread out over a number of clauses, rather than being tightly packed into individual clauses, which is more typical of a written discourse. And we had, I mean, some examples. Yes, do you agree with me?
Yes, you true.
Now,
Yes, Professor.
I think that we haven't yet spoken about nominalization, grammatical metaphor, and spoken discourse. So we already said that there is also a high level of nominalization in written text. That is, where actions and events are presented as nouns rather than as verbs. In this connection, Halliday, also in 1989, calls this phenomenon grammatical metaphor. Grammatical metaphor, of course, for the written discourse. It is called grammatical metaphor for written discourse. That is to say, where a language item is transferred from a more expected grammatical class to another. Written texts typically include longer noun groups than spoken texts. So spoken texts do not normally include very large noun phrases, but or usually we have fewer words and less spread out than in spoken text. So if we just consider the example we have in lecture 4, which is basically an extract from Casablanca, Koch 1996, page 187, which is an example of the typically low level of nominalization and shorter noun groups in spoken discourse. So the noun groups in these extracts are simpler and less dense than what could happen in written discourse. So who would like, do you have, I mean, lecture 4 in front of your hands? In front of your eyes, let me say.
Yes, Professor.
Lecture number 4.
No, Professor, I don't have it.
You don't have it. So you have an example there. So you have to look at the example, which is a kind of, I mean, conversation, showing that we have, I mean, this fact of, I mean, having meaning that is not basically metaphorical in relation to spoken discourse as compared to, I mean, the written one. It's simple and it's clear. It's not like the written discourse, okay? So in this, I mean, respect, many discourse analysts try to make a distinction between two types of grammatical metaphor, experiential and interpersonal. Experiential metaphor and interpersonal metaphor. As an example of experiential metaphor is when something that would normally be expressed by a verb, such as criticize, is expressed by a noun as criticism. This is grammatical metaphor, which is experiential. Instead of using a verb, we would be using a noun simply. An interpersonal metaphor, on the other hand, arises when an item such as perhaps, the word perhaps, that would congruently be expressed by a modal item is re-grammaticalized as a noun. For instance, perhaps would be impossible, would be possibility. Instead of saying perhaps, would be impossibility. And again, we have an example, same example. You could notice this in the same, I mean, example that was given for showing, I mean, the meaning of, I mean, this lack of, I mean, metaphor in spoken discourse. Then the last point I would like to share with you in this virtual session is the fact that even if we made a number of, I mean, differences we could draw a number of distinctions between the written discourse and the spoken one. Many linguists, basically McCarthy and others, argue for the fact that we have a continuum of differences between spoken and written discourse, a continuum. That is to say, we can't put a cut line. It's not possible to put a cut line between the written discourse and the spoken one, but we rather have a continuum of differences between the two. So as it is said in lecture, as I have said in lecture 4, there is no simple one-dimensional difference between spoken and written discourse. These differences are most usually seen as being on a scale or on a continuum. For example, from texts which are more involved or are more involved interpersonally, such as some casual conversations, to texts which are more detached, such as some written public notices. Okay. Again, to explain this, some spoken texts may be more implicit and leave a lot for what is to be understood and said, whereas written texts, for instance, if we take the case of texts which are written in English, may often be more explicit. Is it clear this? There is also a scale of real-time to elapsed time for spoken and written discourse. Some texts are also more fragmented than others in their performance, such as casual conversations and online chat room discussions. Other texts, such as prepared academic lectures and published academic writing, may be more tightly organized and integrated. This idea of a spoken to written scale or continuum avoids oversimplified distinctions between speech and writing, but still brings out key areas in which spoken and written discourse may be differentiated. Is this clear? Yes, please. Yes, where are you, students? Are you still joining?
Yes, we are here.
Yeah, is this the point I'm trying to make clear?
Professor, I didn't get the points because I don't have the lecture, and this is the
so
reason.
Please, then your attention, dear students, then you go back, please. You go back to lecture number 4. It's already on the platform. You have it, I suppose. I suppose that you already downloaded it. Yes?
Yes.
You have to download it, please, and you have to read it carefully, especially the last part. The last part of the lecture, read it carefully in order to be able to follow with what I am saying, what I am elaborating on and arguing for. Is it clear? You do this and you try also to read, the content of lecture number 5 for next time. Lecture number 5 for next time. Is it clear?
Okay, Professor.
Yes, Professor.
Yes, then let's call it a day, and we are looking forward to, meeting on, next Tuesday, God willing. Okay?
Professor?
Yes, Sabah.
Can you answer or help us or tell us what's the way we need to answer in the exam? If you
Yeah, of course we will. Yeah, I will be answering. Sabah, I will be answering all your questions. As I told you before, I still need to, give you to make it, available for you, lecture number 1 and I suppose number 2, I think. And I need to add 2 more lectures. And then we will be dealing with type of questions in the exam, giving you questions and giving you time to answer them, and then correcting your mistakes. Is this clear, Sabah?
Okay, Professor. Thank you.
Yes. So then let's call it a day, please. And looking forward to meeting you next Tuesday for phonology. This time it's phonology. And of course, I will be, as I told you, I will be recording some, videos explaining more, elaborating more on different issues in both the discourse analysis and phonology, phonetics phonology. Okay?
Professor?
Okay.
Umayma.
Yes, please, we will be dealing just on in classroom.
Yes, Umayma?
We will be dealing the session in online platform.
Yeah, only online, because I can't come. As I told you before, I have, a healthy problem. My husband has a very serious health problem, and dua. You should, pray. Keep us in your prayers, please. Okay?
Yeah, make you safe.
Okay. Yes. So let's call it a day and see you meet. And looking forward to meeting you next Tuesday, God willing, basically for phonology. Okay? Goodbye.